Hi there, I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, we may not be able to do everything we want, but there's still so much we can enjoy in our own neighborhoods. Welcome to Our Vancouver. Coming up, spot prawn season is back. Let's see what fresh ideas are cooking for this local favorite. And how a woman is spreading the joy of flowers to lonely seniors who can't gather with loved ones. But first, a cycling challenge with a timely twist. Now, he did what's called the Everest Challenge on his bicycle, and he wore an N95 mask while doing it. So to tell us more, we have reached Steve Petrar in North Vancouver. Steve, hello there.
Hi, Gloria. Thank you for having me.
Well, what is the Everest Challenge?
Yeah, so the Everest Challenge is sort of this goofy underground cycling challenge where you attempt to climb the height of Everest, so 8,848 meters, in a single ride, in a single bike ride, as long as it might take you. And so in a nutshell, that's what it is. And I gave it a shot a couple of weeks ago.
You say it's goofy. How long did it take you to do that?
It took me about 16 hours of pedaling time and 18 hours in total. It took about 2 hours of rests.
Wow. So how do you even prepare for something like that?
Good question. I think really just putting aside the time, knowing that it's going to take, the better part of a day. And you certainly would need to have a baseline level of fitness and some time on the bike ahead of time to get ready. And otherwise, I think just mentality to go slow and steady and keep going until it's finished. That was really my approach anyways.
Well, you're the kind of guy when you go for a bike ride, you just say, I'm just going to head up Cypress for an hour or two, that kind of thing?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay. I mean, that is an incredible challenge when you're talking 18 hours on your bicycle. Why did you want to do it while you were wearing an N95 mask?
So I've been thinking about doing the ride just for my own reasons. I'm an avid cyclist, and cycling for me is a big part of my life. And so this was something I was hoping to do sometime this spring or summer. And in the days leading up to to the day where it was looking like I might have a good weather window to give it a shot, it just occurred to me that what if I did it wearing an N95 mask and found some way to document that. Part of it was, I suppose, for some advocacy. I am a healthcare provider, and the mask issue is near and dear to me for that reason. And also part of it just really for a laugh, to see if I could do it, see how long I might last before I would quit, and just see what would happen.
Well, and you made a point, and you are an anesthesiologist at St. Paul's Hospital. Just what has that mask meant for you and your colleagues in terms of reducing the risk of getting COVID at work?
Yeah, of course, it's crucial. The N95 mask is probably the most important part of our personal protective equipment that we would wear, in the hospital, providing care for patients that may potentially have COVID or may be at risk for that. So I've gotten accustomed to wearing an N95 during my shifts, since the start of this pandemic. Not something I would normally wear for a bike ride, but it is an integral part of my PPE at work. And yeah, I think it's been a challenge, I think, for the public to adopt mask wearing, and I totally get it. It's uncomfortable. It's not what we're used to. It can be unpleasant at times, but at least for us working in a public-facing situation, it's really, really important that as many people as possible can do that, just to keep one another safe, as well as those of us that are interacting with the public. So I suppose that was in my mind as well as I decided to do this thing.
Well, good on you, really. But there is a difference, isn't there, between wearing your N95 for a shift in the hospital and then wearing it for 18 hours on your bicycle while you're sweating and heading up a mountain. Do you still have that particular mask?
I do, actually. I have it right here with me. Yeah, I don't know
Are
if
you
can
going to
see
frame
that,
it? Do something
no,
special with it?
I don't know. I mean, it was actually just in a bin in my basement after this ride, and I dug it out, and I should probably just throw it away. It's funny because given uncertainties with supply chains, it has at times been necessary for us at work to collect masks and reprocess them. And a few of my colleagues joked, and they did make comments to me along the lines of, they're hoping that mask in particular doesn't find its way back into the reprocessing queue, and I assured them that it wouldn't.
I mean, was there a point on your ride, and while you're doing the Everest Challenge, you're saying, maybe I should have brought one or two of these and just changed them out a little bit, give it time to dry out?
I did bring a spare. I had it in the vehicle. I didn't end up using it. I wore the same one the entire day.
And how did it affect your ride, do you think? I mean, was that just make it more sort of literally in your face in terms of thinking about why you wanted to make a point here?
It didn't affect my ride overly in terms of limiting my ability to complete it. That by no means was a limiter. It was uncomfortable. I mean, there's no doubt. It got sweaty. It gets itchy. It makes it hard to eat and drink as you're riding, which is an important part of endurance cycling as well. You need to keep hydrated and you need to keep fed. I set my own rules for the ride. My rule was pretty simple. It was really just that as long as the bike was moving, the mask was on. So I only took it off when I got off the bike. So that presented a challenge as I got going, because I couldn't drink as I was climbing, and I didn't want to stop and lose all my momentum to drink. So I did have to sort of adjust to that on the fly and really drink in between the ascents and descents. Other than that, to be honest, I kind of almost forgot it was there at times.
Well, that's awesome, but you did add the mask challenge to the Everest Challenge. Well, congratulations to you, Steve. I hope you earned yourself a little bit of a rest.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
Hello, this is Marie-Noël, and this is our Vancouver.
Well, many moms had to mark a second Mother's Day apart from their family this year. And times like these can be particularly difficult for seniors who can't gather with loved ones. And that's why one BC woman wanted to help break that sense of loneliness with flowers. And as Greg Rasmussen explains, things are now blooming.
So I always put roses in them because it's a little bit special.
Getting things into shape for an extra special delivery.
Just take that out to the truck and just put it on the ground.
Mother's Day is always a busy time for florists, but these 50 bouquets are being sent out for free, part of a volunteer effort to cheer up seniors left isolated by the pandemic.
Here's a good one. Where flowers bloom, so does hope.
Aww. This is Seniors Village, other half. Hello. I have a delivery for a special lady.
Stop one, a senior living on her own.
So this is bouquets for Baba. And do you know what Baba is?
Grandma, right?
That's correct, in Ukrainian. Do you know any Babas?
No, I am.
You're a Baba.
They call it Bouquets for Baba, a Mother's Day treat for Giselle O'Brien.
So this all comes from people donating in the community because they want to show you that they're thinking about you and they care about you and they're honoring you and respecting you.
One of O'Brien's caregivers says it has an amazing impact.
So many of the seniors are isolated right now, and this just says, we know you're here, we care, you're not alone.
I love them. And I keep them till the last one is gone.
It started when Trina Innes decided to drop off a bouquet anonymously at a care home. That was just 2 months ago.
And has this taken over your life in a way?
Yes, but in a good way.
They're now delivering about 100 bouquets a month, raising thousands of dollars, and have plans to expand.
Seniors are living alone, and COVID aside, they don't have a lot of visitors, and we need to say thank you to them and let them know that there's people out here that are really caring and respecting them. Hello, Lorette.
Next stop, a retirement home.
For you. Yes.
I love flowers.
Aww.
I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The colors in there are beautiful.
I know.
The bouquet brings back memories.
My husband used to have flowers all over the place, and I really miss that.
Lorette Fortier talks to her children who live out of the province, but hasn't been able to see them in person for more than a year.
I am very lonely, I have to admit. I miss my family so much. We were very close, and my husband's been gone for 8 years now.
Others at the long-term care home are equally grateful.
Is this Papa? Dick,
And it's not just Babas. Men get bouquets under the program as well.
Take time to smell the roses.
There you are, and there's one right there and right there.
Aww.
I think it's just such a heartening thing to have people that they don't know, people come together to say, hey, we care about you, we're thinking about you, we want to brighten your day. And I think that's huge, right, for people who've given so much over their lifetimes.
Beautiful.
The florist who's donating her time to the cause and flowers at cost hopes others pick up the effort across the country.
Kindness spreads kindness, and it's just been a snowball effect of people doing good for each other in this crazy, crazy time.
You guys all look beautiful.
Kindness that's definitely being noticed, one delivery at a time. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Maple Ridge, BC.
All right, I love this part of the program. We get to showcase a number of the photographs sent in by you, our audience. So here are a couple of eagles sharing some family time in a nest. Thanks so much to Richard Topping for that striking shot, just amazing. Jenice Smith captured the underside of a chocolate lily at Stoltz Pool on the Cowichan River. Just beautiful, Janice. And finally, Ali Kia caught this image from Rebound. It's a multimedia dance video projected on the side of a building in English Bay. Well done. And please do send us more. Just email your photographs to us, bcphotos@cbc.ca. Got it? That's bcphotos@cbc.ca. We look forward to receiving some of them. Well, coming up, a shocking new study found the Brazilian rainforest actually released more carbon than it stored over the last decade. Johanna Wagstaff is going to explain and tell us what can be done.
The Amazon rainforest has been called the lungs of the planet because of its ability to filter out massive amounts of CO2 from the atmosphere. But a new study that used satellite monitoring to capture carbon storage found that the Brazilian rainforest actually released more carbon than it stored over the last decade. Trees naturally take in huge amounts of carbon, but when they're cut down or burnt or sick and die, they'll release all of that carbon back into the atmosphere. And degradation was a bigger cause than straight up deforestation. In fact, the study found that degradation, which is when parts of the forest are damaged but not totally destroyed, accounted for 3 times more carbon loss than straight up deforestation. The findings published in Nature Climate Change also show a significant rise in deforestation in 2019, 3.9 million hectares compared to 1 million per year in 2017 and 2018. More than 60% of the Amazon rainforest is located in Brazil, where degradation is linked to deforestation, but it's also caused by tree felling and forest fires. And an increase in forest fires is connected to climate events like droughts. These kinds of tree loss can be hard to track, but the research team used a newly developed satellite vegetation index and then evaluated changes in forest carbon stocks. This really demonstrates the dramatic impact that degradation can have on overall biomass and carbon storage in the rainforest. It really comes down to the big picture health of a forest. Should we leave on a positive though? A separate study then used satellite data to build a map of regenerated forests around the world in the last 20 years. Basically forest regeneration that involves restoring natural woodland through little or no intervention. An area the size of France has regrown naturally across the world, the study suggests, in the past 2 decades. So there is hope for the rainforest as well with the right action. And now, you're Science Smart. If you have a science question on your mind, send me a tweet and I'll try to get it answered.
Thank you so much, Johanna. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, even during a pandemic, we can still count on spot prawn season across the South Coast. And joining us now with some advice and some ideas to keep things fresh is Jenice Yu, the owner of Fresh Ideas Start Here. Jenice, hello there.
Hello, Gloria. Thanks for having me again. This is our 1-year anniversary from last year.
1-year anniversary and the second spot prawn season during a pandemic. How have you been doing in general?
We're doing really good. Thank you for asking. You know, we've done a lot of changes in our business because we had retail and wholesale. You know, we had to pivot quite a bit, kind of focusing on the retail because, you know, the restaurants are being shut down for indoor dining at the moment. And, you know, we're just trying to survive and get everyone more fish in their house, their homes to eat.
Yeah, okay, hold up one of those beautiful spot prawns for us. Why don't you get up close to the camera? Why is it that these little creatures are so popular right now in this area?
Well, we call it a delicacy here and internationally. It's got a really nice and sweet flavor, a delicate texture. And the most important part is that the season is really short. So it's about 30 days or so. So you really got to run and get our hands on these prawns before the season is over.
Now, I know, so the people who are out fishing these prawns then, there was a little bit of a catch earlier on in the season. We thought they were going to have to freeze them at the source. Why is it so important just to get them as fresh as possible?
Well, I think down here, we're getting them from the live boats. And the thing about eating spot prawn is you really have to eat it on the same day that it's caught, especially when they're fresh and when they're live. It's kind of like buying a live lobster. You know, the meat quality itself starts to deteriorate after it dies. And in about overnight's time, the heads actually turn black. So it's best to always eat on the same day that you buy your prawns. From a boat, from a fishmonger, wherever you get it.
Okay, and now the big question is, with those fresh spot prawns, what's the best way to eat them?
Well, the best way is to keep it very, very simple because the flavors are so nice, so sweet. It's got a nice briny flavor to it. You can steam. Steaming is one of the things you could do. And when you steam it, you can just dip it with a really nice soy sauce or a ponzu sauce. You can saute it with a bit of butter and a little bit of lemon. This is a great time to make ceviche. So you can make like a blend of your citrus juice of lime, lemon, and orange. And you can cook the prawns in the citric acid. And that's kind of ceviche, we call it. And what else can we do? Well, you can also have sashimi. I have some right here that we just peeled off. Now, you always want to eat the sashimi on the same day that you buy it because you want to make sure that it's at its best.
Hold that a little closer to the camera for me. Can you pick that up and just give it right? Okay, so that just raw, and you tell me how you prepared those.
Well, we use our scissors and just cut along the back, and you can peel off the prawns just like that. And you want to keep them as cold as possible and eat them as quickly as you can after you buy them. A little bit of light soy sauce and wasabi is all you need. It's great. It's really nice and sweet. You can really taste the ocean in a really good way.
I love that. And what about what you've got in between the pieces of bread there in front of you?
Well, this one is our spot prawn roll. Is our take on the lobster roll. So instead of having lobster, we have spot prawns, some fresh celery, a little bit of herbs, a little bit of our old boy seasoning. It's nice. We have it for a limited time in the store while we have the spot prawn season going.
I see. So what would be the difference between a lobster roll that a lot of people from the East Coast are familiar with and a spot prawn roll? I mean, how do you actually prepare the prawns?
Well, the prawns will need to be poached lightly in with the water, and then we cut it up and mix it with our special sauce and herbs. But, you know, the spot prawn is known in the West Coast as our lobster of the West Coast. So it will be a really nice take on this very special fun with all the good flavors of spot prawns and celery and herbs and all that.
Okay, so if you were, what would be, someone just gifts you a serving of spot prawns, how would you prepare them? Your favorite way?
I always just steam it because I want to be able to taste all the flavors of the fresh spot prawns and not really mask it with any flavor that's too bold. So a light soy sauce with a little bit of ginger, it's really nice. Yeah, it's just very much keep it simple.
Keep them while they're fresh. Jenice, great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Well, love them or loathe them, bagpipes certainly inspire strong reactions. And for one little boy in North Vancouver, it has become one of his biggest passions. The CBC's Kevin Lee introduces us to 4-year-old Frankie and his hero, Frank.
Little Frankie may only be 4.5 years old, but he already knows what his favorite day of the week is.
When Friday happens, Frank comes late soon, and I just really want to play with him so that's why my actor plugged in.
I'd say it was probably last September. The Pink Piper walks down Lonsdale every Friday around 5 o'clock, 4:45, and he listened to him, and he's every day, every Friday, he's there. Let's go, Frankie. Let's go. Frank's coming down.
What started off as a bit of a pep rally and parade for the healthcare workers last year became a weekly tradition along Lonsdale Avenue in North Vancouver.
Halfway through winter, dead of night, little Frankie appears in a hockey jacket with a hockey stick. But I could see his fingers moving and his foot was beating to the music, which was great.
Does it make music? And just when you play it, you do the hand like this. 1, 2, 3, 4!
It is a little random. We moved here to the North Shore like a year ago, and just even to hear somebody playing the bagpipes is quite random. And to go by our house, but he was so excited every day. Is it Friday? Is it Friday?
After Christmas there, we bought him the whole set, the whole outfit, and now he's part of the Friday thing. He marches down with Frank.
I'm really impressed that he's taken it on and he's loving it. I mean, Frankie will soon learn that people will pay him to stop playing.
Did you do Amazing Grace yet?
I did it, yes.
Yeah.
Kevin Lee, CBC News, Vancouver.
This is Wei Li. This is our Vancouver.
But it's raining and I ran, wipe the sleep out of my.
They are an unusual couple.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
A lot of big events have been cancelled or gone online since the pandemic hit. The Vancouver International Film Festival has been hosting a series of interactive online discussions called VIF Talks. So Tuesday, May 25th, the special guest is Matt Shackman, director of the popular Marvel TV show WandaVision. Registration is free, but donations will be accepted.
Within these mundane moments, the house's undramatic interior becomes an open cinematic space that invites the characters to recount and reflect on their memories.
And the Cinematheque is presenting a collection of video essays about Asian cinema. It's called Monographs, and it's online right now until May 27th. Again, tickets are free, but donations would be greatly appreciated. For more information, go to thecinematheque.ca.
Hey, Grant Lawrence from CBC Music here with an important update on CBC Music's Toyota Searchlight 2021. That is our hunt for Canada's best undiscovered musical talent. Now, a few weeks ago, we launched this year's contest asking for musicians to submit their very best original Canadian song. And wow, did you ever answer? We have received a record number of entries this year from aspiring musicians right across the country. And here are just a few of the early highlights.
looking like heaven in last night's dress, dancing on the bar, swinging from the rafters. If I'm having fun and shit, that's all that matters.
There you go. There's a cross-sampling of some of the original songs by Canadian artists that are now vying for your votes to get into our Searchlight Top 100. You can discover and vote for your favorite Searchlight songs now and every day until Thursday, May 20th at cbc.ca/searchlight. Which songs are you voting for? I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music. Good luck to all the artists participating in CBC Music's Toyota Searchlight 2021, and I'll check in with you again soon.
Well, one of BC's most iconic retail stores has undergone an amazing transformation. A year ago, the owners of Army and Navy announced that they were closing after 101 years in business, saying the challenges of the pandemic were insurmountable. But now that downtown location has been converted to a temporary homeless shelter. Dan Burrett got a sneak peek.
Right through here, you would have come into, the steel-toed boots, rain jackets, that sort of thing. Of course, during the shoe sale, the famous shoe sale, sometimes this whole area was co-opted for those purposes as well as the other building at the back. Yeah. When we knew we were going to be running a 24/7 shelter, which of course is quite different, not all of them are, we really wanted to make sure that we had a separate space for people to hang out in the daytime, connect with staff, get help with housing forms, ID. These are the co-ed washroom facilities. So as you can see, nice sturdy sinks and mirrors, non-glass, and we have several just normal toilets, and then we have showers, and then at the back we have some accessible showers. So what we have here is the kind of pod bed setup that we found to be very effective in the Save on Foods arena in Victoria. That was our first time utilizing those. Yeah, it just provides a greater sense of personal space, some greater dignity, some greater security. So it's set up for 60 people. We want to operationalize it as soon as we can.
How long can someone stay here?
There's no time limit. We're really going to base it on each individual. Where are they at? What do they need? Do we need to connect them with more health supports, for example, before they're ready to move on to housing? We also just don't want to be shuffling someone into any housing. We want to set them up where it suits them, and we want them to succeed there. We don't want them to get evicted. We don't want them to feel that they've moved to somewhere unsafe.
How long did it take to transform this space?
It's been quite a blur, but we're looking at about 2 months. So as you can imagine, the contractors here have been really working hard to make this happen, and a shout out to the architects as well, who adjusted things very quickly several times.
This was known as the Army and Navy store. It's going to have a new name. Who's it named after, and why is that significant?
We're naming it the Osborne after Bud Osborne, who I'm sure a lot of people watching this actually know who Bud is or was, but he was the Downtown Eastside Poet Laureate. A published poet who impacted a lot of people everywhere, but specifically in this community, and he really advocated for people who use drugs and people who are experiencing homelessness to be provided services with dignity.
Coming up, the story of a married couple kept an ocean apart for more than 20 years. Hi, welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now imagine being married for 22 years and never once having lived together. Yeah, after nearly half a dozen attempts to get his wife here from India, a Surrey man is appealing directly to Canada's immigration minister for help. And the CBC Impact Team reporter Belle Puri has an update on a story that we first brought you in 2019.
Routine calls now have a sense of urgency.
Hello, Daniel.
Parmjeet Basanti's wife lives in India, where new COVID infections average 400,000 a day. So far, the country has recorded nearly 23 million cases of the virus. Basanti worries his wife will get sick.
The situation in India is really bad. People can't even find a bed for treatment, so that makes me quite concerned.
For 22 years, the Basantis have been together, but apart. They married in Punjab in 1999. Since then, Basanti has applied 5 times to sponsor his wife for permanent residency in Canada. Each time he's failed, with immigration officials questioning the genuineness of the marriage and its primary reason. Now the couple is pleading directly to Immigration Minister Marco Mendicino for a temporary residency permit.
They're also saying, give me a 6-month visa, and they can see us together and see that we are solid or not. In our younger life, God didn't let us be together. At least now, in old age, put us together.
A timeline for consideration of the ministerial permit application is impossible to predict. Immigration delays are at an all-time high. COVID has made an already complicated process that much worse. What's happening in India has stretched a backlogged immigration system in Canada.
In our office alone, we have almost getting to about 100 now. Different types of situations, of course, of individuals that are feeling the stress now, the additional stress due to COVID.
Having to wait months is tough when you've already waited years.
So now I'm his legal counsel, but at the time he was married, I would have been 7 years old. So to put that in context, it's been a very long time.
And time is everything. Basanti is now 70 years old.
Like, I wish that she can be here sooner, faster. How much more can I continue with? My age, my life is also passing by.
While he hopes compassion wins out, Basanti has filed a 6th application to sponsor his wife. In over 2 decades, the couple has spent no more than 18 months together. Belle Puri, CBC News, Surrey.
Now, you may have noticed significant traffic disruptions in Metro Vancouver. Climate protesters from the group Extinction Rebellion staged a 5-day string of demonstrations targeting major roads. But as John Hernandez reports, some say their efforts could work against them.
From the Granville Street Bridge to the Lions Gate, the first few days of May in Vancouver have been filled with picket signs, traffic jams, and arrests.
There's a bunch of people here standing up for the climate, standing up for the planet and all of life.
They're calling it the Spring Rebellion, a series of protests organized by the group Extinction Rebellion, who are demanding climate action.
We're extremely flat. We make decisions as a group.
Member Brent Eichler says the group has no hierarchy. Their tactics, a collective decision that they say is the only way to get an urgent message across.
It's obvious to me now that marching in the streets does not work and signing petitions does not work. We need to go in the streets and actively oppose and disrupt business as usual.
A message that's loud and undoubtedly capturing people's attention. But some experts say the group risks collateral damage.
Blockades of bridges has the unintended effect of maybe punishing individuals who are not largely responsible for these systemic issues. And in that way, kind of risks polarizing the support for environmental protection.
So we understand that some of the actions that we do are disruptive to ordinary people's lives. We don't revel in that, but it is a consequence of the kind of dire situation that we are in.
And there's the added criticism of a lack of diversity. Even group members will admit that the people who show up to these events tend to be white and middle class.
We're trying to become more diverse, but I would say that it is an issue for us.
But attendance might not tell the whole picture when it comes to support for the movement as a whole.
When there's these kinds of protests where there's the risk of getting arrested, there's lots of people who are not willing to put themselves in that kind of position for various reasons, but they still might support the group.
Cutting back on fossil fuels is something millions of Canadians are in favor of, even if not everyone agrees on how to get there. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Coming up, why more summer attractions are planning to stay shuttered for another year. Hi, welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, more popular summertime activities are casualties of the pandemic. There's the P&E, barred on the beach, canceled. And as Joel Ballard reports, organizers of several cultural and tourist attractions say they just couldn't take the chance in case of further restrictions.
The mini donuts, the rides, the concerts, all staples of many Metro Vancouverites' summers. But not this year. The P&E canceled for the second summer in a row.
It is heart-wrenching for us to have to tell people that this won't happen.
Thousands of jobs gone. Given the current health orders, the P&E says it can't host big enough crowds to justify the cost and risks further burying the organization in debt.
And at some point, as a not-for-profit, it becomes insurmountable.
The summer staple now faces $18 million of debt.
Where to the Pilgrims Lodge, I do beseech you.
Across the city, the curtain is dropped on another legacy cultural attraction, barred on the beach.
The mystery of the pandemic, of the virus, was just finally too much. The safety of not only our own people, but of the general public became too big a factor.
The cancellations are the latest in a long line of scrapped in-person events. The Celebration of Lights, the Vancouver Folk Festival, the International Children's Festival, all gone. Many are facing a second summer without their main source of revenue. Can they survive?
We'll be back. I'm always concerned about financial stability because when you're missing $4.5 million of box office, that's a serious number.
Thanks to donors, sponsors, and different levels of government, Gaze is confident they'll make it through. But things aren't as upbeat at the P&E, which is owned by the City of Vancouver, but operates as its own not-for-profit.
Because of our unique corporate structure, we have not been able to access a single dollar of COVID relief grants.
With its debt rising, it has now asked the province for an $8 million grant. In a statement, the province says all three levels of government will need to work together to find a positive step forward for this iconic institution, and pointed to the BC budget, which has earmarked $100 million to support anchor attractions in BC. But there's been no word on when and how it will be spent. Of course, the P&E hopes for a piece of that pie, but with so many organizations also hungry, the question becomes whether there's enough to go around. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
Some people on Vancouver Island believe that the soaring price of lumber is behind a recent rush of tree thefts. About 100 trees have been taken from a municipal forest reserve. And as Briar Stewart reports, there are growing calls for stricter measures to deter the thieves.
This is the first tree I tripped across when I came out here, and as you can see, it's a pretty big western red cedar.
This is one of a few stumps Larry Pinn has stumbled on. This nearly 90-year-old tree was chopped down illegally.
Something like this is not being taken for firewood, that's for sure. It's a valuable tree.
Right, and these are like big slabs of wood here.
Yeah, they are. And someone really knew what they were doing. They were organized, had all the equipment, they'd done their research, they knew the spot.
The tree was part of North Cowichan's Municipal Forest Reserve, a 5,000-hectare area on the east side of Vancouver Island. The landscape here is considered endangered because of logging and development, but in this case, the tree was poached, and about 100 others have been as well since the beginning of the year.
Since we've noticed the increase in the timber theft, we've increased patrols to daily patrols in all the active areas. We've increased signage to make sure it's very clear that this activity is not permittable.
In this forest, the municipality is responsible for penalties, but when the theft happens on Crown land, enforcement rests with the province.
We rely in part on complaints from the public, and we've had over 500 of those over the last 10 years. I would say there's some indication that is increasing.
Someone caught tree poaching in BC could be fined up to $1 million, but most of the time people are just given a ticket for a few hundred, that is if they're caught at all, which is why some want to see stricter enforcement. In North Cowichan, the municipality is considering raising its fine, which is now just $200. Not very much considering the price of lumber is up dramatically.
232% across the board, but for some woods, and particularly high value, as I say, for bespoke type projects, people will pay a lot more. So we're looking at 500% increases for some lumbers.
Isel Dobell believes there should be tougher punishment, not only to protect the trees, but deter people from driving through sensitive ecosystems to haul out lumber.
I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of outrage about this happening, and you're stealing from the community, you're stealing from Canadians, you're stealing from nature.
And she says would-be poachers should know that residents are watching these woods. Briar Stewart, CBC News, North Cowichan, BC.
Thomas Berger, a longtime lawyer for the Niska Nation, died last month at the age of 88. And one of his legacies is the birth of that nation in the year 2000. Terry Milewski brought us that story.
He's singing it in the Niska language, although the young people here don't really know O Canada in any language. In fact, for years, Niska elders have told their children that this is not our song. But today, they cheered for the unwanted anthem because the Niska Treaty is finally in force, and the elders say they have at last joined Canada willingly.
We are no longer wards of the state, no longer wards of the government. We are no longer beggars in our own land.
The suffocating weight and shackles of the Indian Act are gone and gone forever.
This was a day of triumph, especially for Chief Joe Gosnell, now president of the Niska government. Yesterday, his new government sat for the very first time and passed 18 laws, setting up what Gosnell calls the Niska Nation.
We didn't have to go to Ottawa or consult with the Minister of Indian Affairs. We exercised our right to govern ourselves.
The Niska lands comprise a wild and spectacular 1,900 square kilometers of the remote Nass River Valley, home to about 3,000 Niska people who live in hard-scrabbled villages without paved roads. They hope that their independence will bring prosperity. It is now 113 years since the Niska chiefs first started trying to make a deal for their land with the white man. Now that they finally got that deal, the challenge, they say, will be to provide jobs for young people, to keep them here on the land that they've worked so hard to get. That will not be easy, according to Emma Nice, a sister to Joe Gosnell. She has 23 grandchildren, but 18 of them have left the valley, and she wonders if they'll ever come back.
Well, to be honest, maybe few of them will, not all of them. Like these ladies there. They say, Mom, we love it here, but we can't live here. There's no work.
Her brother promises to change that, but there is a long way to go. He's asking his people to be patient, and that, it seems, is something the Niska know how to do. Terry Milewski, CBC News, Gitwinsilk, BC.
CBC Vancouver is so lucky to have award-winning photographer Ben Nelms on staff. Here are a few images of the week we had, captured in only the way Ben can. And that's all for our Vancouver for this week. I hope you'll be able to join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. Bye-bye for now.
Just act natural, it's all good.